always see that little countdown when the recording starts. You got 3 seconds to get ready for it. Have you guys looked at Blackboard at all? You have? You guys know how to, have you all accessed it so you know your username and password work? Or? Mostly, okay, good deal. So I don't need to go over username and password. Apparently I have to put mine back in now. So anyway, you go into Blackboard, you'll find this class. Which one is this one? This is 61705. I have 4 classes of this particular class, so I have to make sure you get the right one. So here, if you go into Blackboard, if you click on this class, Math 373, it'll take you to a welcome page, which all that really tells you, this is the big information right here, course information button. That's where anything that's interesting to you will be, right there. Before we get too far into this, just so you know, you are not required to use Blackboard in this class in any way. You can never go out there and it will not hurt you in this class. There will be some stuff out there, though, that is very useful. For example, you can see here's the syllabus for the class. So if you forget what the grading policy is or whatever, you can always access that. What's even more useful, there's my contact information. My phone extension, if you call the switchboard and dial in that extension, it'll take you to my voicemail. Don't count on ever calling and getting me to answer the phone because I am never in my office. I am either in class or almost always in this classroom except for when there's another class in here. So the easiest way, the most reliable way to get a hold of me is email. Right there, and I'll put it up here in bigger letters in just a little bit. I have the computer right in the room. I check my email at least twice a day. So I will get that message pretty quick. Let's see, office. I am up in the office area here, but it's, like I said, I'm almost never there, so you usually come to look for me here first. If I'm not in here, I'm generally going to get my mail or somewhere else in the hallways. Schedule, I'll pull that up quick for you. If you need to come find me, anytime on this schedule that is labeled office hour, I will be in the building. Or I'll be pretending to be in the building, one of the two. You can see here, office on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 until 12:30. The activity hour, everybody should be free, so you can come find me then. I'll be in this classroom, unless that's also when they schedule my meetings, so I'll be in this classroom unless I have a meeting somewhere. This hour right across here at 9:30 every day, there's another class in here, so I won't be in this room for those office hours, but if I know you need me, send me an email or something earlier in the morning so I know that you're looking for me, and we'll find a place that we can meet and go over any questions. Other than that, where it says assigned time, there's a good chance I'll be in the building unless I have a project outside the building that I'm supposed to be working on. Other than that, if you need to get in touch with me and it doesn't fit in any of those times, just let me know and we'll figure something out. I'm not hard to get a hold of. Okay, let's scroll back up here. Syllabus. Okay. So there's my contact information again. A little bit bigger for you if you need it. It's technically not a capital T and H on my email address, but for some reason it just did it automatically. See, classroom while you're here, so you know when and where we meet, so I don't have to go over that. For Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at this time. Course description. This is pretty much a basic math course, kind of a survey of math course. And I'm not saying that to insult anybody, but it's, we spend about a third of our time on whole numbers, fractions, decimals, percents, proportions, and stuff like that. Just applications of operations of mathematics. Then we'll take some time and we'll look at basic algebra as far as solving equations and working with variables a little bit for formulas and things like that. Not too in-depth. We don't get into any systems of equations or anything like that. And then basic geometry. Now, when I say geometry, I don't mean like your high school geometry where you have proofs and junk like that. We'll look at basic areas, volumes, maybe some rules of angles and stuff like that. And then measurements and conversions and things like that. Finding missing dimensions, stuff like blueprint reading type stuff. I'm going to skip down here a second. Now that I've done the course description, that right there is the list of the course competencies. In other words, those are the 8 main topics of the course. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's all we're going to cover. I will bring in some topics, for from the automotive industry that might be applicable to your field that may be slightly beyond those, but they'll fit in there. But those are the main topics that you have to master for this course. Now, if you're looking at that list and you're thinking to yourself, well, I've had all that, I know it really well, and I'm going to be bored out of my mind in this class. There are a couple of options if you'd rather not sit through it. One, if you've had any other college level math course, there's a good chance that it'll transfer for this one. Otherwise, there is a test out procedure. To take the test out, there is a fee. It's $20 per credit. So this being a 2-credit class, you'd have to pay $40 to take the test out. To do that, you'd have to do it by the end of this week, and you have to have an 80% or better on the test out to pass. The test for this class is 2 sections. One section is no calculator. It's 20 or 25 questions, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, fractions, decimals, whole numbers, converting between fractions and decimals, some percents. And then the rest of it, it's like 50 questions of application questions, word problems, geometry, algebra, solving equations, stuff like that. And they said you have to have 80%. If you get 80% or better, you get refunded your tuition for this class, which is like $250 or $260. And you get this hour free for the rest of the semester. You'll be here. Huh? If you don't pass the test, if you don't get 80% or better, you lose your $40 and you're stuck back in here with me. So if you're not sure if you can pass the test out, you're best to just keep your $40. I will tell you this, it was a surprise to me because I thought that there would be a lot more people that would be able to test out of here. But the past record shows it's about 1 out of every 3 people that take the test out actually pass. So it's not as simple as it might appear. And most of that is just because at this point in the year you've been out of school for at least 3 months and you haven't taken any tests for a while, and it takes a while to come back. Yeah, at least 3 months, I said. Yeah. So anyway, that option is there. If you have more questions about it, or if it's something you might want to pursue, let me know and I'll go over it in more detail with you. Let's see. Other than that, textbook. You guys all have a textbook? Good. Yep, it is that green one there. Hopefully yours is in better shape than mine. Once you guys get over there, you'll get the same one. That one's not too bad, is it? What is that, like $100 now?
It was the most expensive one I had to buy.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's some good stuff in it.
Oh, it is. It's all great stuff. Life-altering.
Yeah.
Now, that's not bad. One of my textbooks now I found out this year is up to like $320. But that's a class that takes that group takes 2 math classes and they use the same book for both, but still, that's painful. I've got to look for options there.
All your German books? All but $100 this semester.
Yeah.
Science book must be cheap.
There is no science book. It's all handouts. Yeah.
That must be the human resources class.
Sure. Okay, so the other thing is, it says here, scientific calculator is highly recommended, and I cannot stress how highly recommended it is. You can probably get through the course without a scientific calculator, but it would be tough.
Now, do you have a computer brain that, it's kind of common?
Okay, yep. I usually go with the Texas Instruments TI-30. It's about $12 or $15 at Walmart or Shopko or Office Max. TI-30. Yep. It's the Texas Instruments. And it is, I've probably got one back here I can show you. Yep, I do. Looks like this.
Right.
That's about the easiest one to use, the simplest one to use.
Okay.
There are some Casios out there that do the same thing. It's a couple dollars cheaper, but they're a little bit trickier to use. And they have a few more functions on them, which makes it even more complicated. But
I'll go with it. I'll spend extra bucks.
Yeah. Also, spend the extra $1 or $2 and get solar, because the batteries die, and it's like $6 or $7 to replace the battery, and the solar, of course, will last for. Well, I won't say they'll last forever. It'll last till you throw it in the windshield of your car and it melts, or you step on it or something. But I have 5 or 6 calculators at home that have melted in the windshield of my vehicle or left behind on the seat. I used to be an engineer on construction sites. And, not uncommon for me to show up on a construction site and realize my calculator was fried. So anyway, and if you have a calculator and if you're not sure that it's good enough to get through the course, let me know. I'll take a look at it for you and we'll go from there. Okay, the part that everybody's worried about, grading. Grading in here is in two categories. You got homework and quizzes, you got tests and quizzes, and you have homework and participation. For this class, there are 5 units, so there will be 5 unit tests. So those are 100-point tests. So that's part of the tests and quizzes. The other part, and those I'll give you at least some warning. The first test, the first unit in here does go pretty quick. That first unit test usually comes up right around the beginning of the 3rd week. So like the 7th or 8th class period, it comes up. Quizzes, I give quizzes about every 3 or 4 hours of class. They come pretty frequent. I don't think you have one yet this week, but you'll probably have one on your first class next week if you don't have one this week. I do that partly because it helps me keep up with what you know and what you don't know, because it's real easy to make it look like you know what you're doing on homework and stuff and not be able to do it when the pressure's on. And that way I know if everybody bombs a quiz, there's a topic I have to go back and go over again in more detail. Those quizzes are anywhere from 8 to 25 points depending on what we're covering. Homework and participation is a little trickier. When I assign you homework at the end of the class, I will never come in the next class period and say, okay, tear that out of your notebook and turn it in. That homework to me is for you to practice. It's for you to look at it. If you already know how to do all of it, you try a couple problems and you're comfortable with that, that's okay with me. It's for you to prep for the quizzes and the tests. What I will collect sometimes is you'll walk in here some days and at the beginning of class there'll be a problem up on the board for you to do. So you sit down and you start in your notes and do that problem. And I always recommend you do start on a separate sheet of paper for that, because there might be days where I look at you and say, hey, let's turn this one in and see how you guys are doing. And when I do that, I'm not looking through it, going through it and grading it to see if you did everything correctly. I'm looking through it to see if you have the process down and if you're putting in the effort. If you're putting in the effort and you got it wrong, you're still going to get the points for it. It's a matter of, are you actually putting in the work? It's a way of me also then telling, oh, this person is working hard, but there's something they're not quite getting. So I can sometimes catch it before you get to a quiz. And then at the end of class, this is a 3-hour-a-week class, but it's 2 credits, which means it is structured to be 2 hours of lecture and presenting material and an hour of homework time. So a lot of times I will lecture for 30 or 35 minutes and give you the last 15 to 20 minutes for homework. During that 15 or 20 minutes of homework time, I'll give you a few minutes to get started on it. And then I might pick out a problem or two to put up here and just go through them just to make sure people are getting it and moving along. And I might look through the homework and pick out one that I think is difficult or might have something in it that's easy to miss, and we'll go through those together. And occasionally we'll go through one of those and I'll say, hey, you know what, tear that one out and hand it in. Let's see if you got it. Any questions?
Yeah.
Not yet? Okay. And of course, the rest of the homework grade is participation, which just basically means show up. In this class, this is my 16th year here, and I have taught this class almost every semester for 16 years, so 32 or 33 times now. In that time, I've only had one student who showed up for class every day and did not pass this class. So, and I've had a lot who have failed the class, but it's because they just plain weren't here. Try not to be number 2. There you go. So, and then this is, of course, the standard grading scale. I'm sure you guys have seen that a few times in the last couple of days, so I'm not going to go through it again. If you need to withdraw from class, during the first week, if you withdraw, there's a full refund. Hopefully none of you withdraw because this group's small enough as it is. That's why if you do the test out, it has to be done in the first week so that you can get a full refund on your tuition. After that, it kind of goes down. There's a percentage you can get, but I don't put that on here because I don't have it memorized and it changes. So ask student services if you need to know that information. If for some reason you need to drop the class, like if you're struggling or you have a family situation or something that comes up that you have to leave school to attend to, there is a point in the semester where you can no longer drop, and I think it's like 12 weeks or something like that. So if you get past the midpoint of the semester and you think there may be a reason why you might have to leave, make sure we stay on top of that. As far as grades, like I said, I've never had anybody have to drop this class because of grades. But if you're worried about your grades, you can ask me at any time. My grades go in a computer system, and I can pull them up. They don't go on Blackboard because I don't like the Blackboard grade book. They are in a computer system. You just ask me and I can pull those grades up at any time. And there actually is a way that you can access it online if you want to. If you have any disabilities or needs, whether it's a diagnosed disability or whether you're afraid of math or have always struggled taking tests or whatever it is, come and talk to me. Well, I've had a lot of people that just say, okay, there's other people in the room, it distracts me too much, or I get nervous. Or I see other people finishing their test and leaving, and I get excited and it messes me up. If that's the case, let me know. We can find you a private room, or we can figure something out that helps you do better on your tests. I always figure my first job is to make things as least stressful as possible. So just come talk to me and we'll try to figure something out on any of those. Then this last one with the podcasts, just because the class is recorded, I have to put that out there that, you can't use it for profit, all that good stuff. And the ones I skipped over, of course, are the ones I shouldn't have to talk about, like don't cheat, don't beat up your fellow student or anything like that. Don't do anything that'll get you thrown out, in other words. Then this is just the list of the different, I said 5 sections, 5-unit tests. Those are the 5 units for the course. Any questions? Cool. I'll shut this down. I'm going to end this first